everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lainey Goff. I am a current Outschool teacher and an online teaching coach here to help you get hired and get noticed. If you're here today, then you want to learn a really fun way that you can make a hide and seek game using Google Slides. I'm really excited to show this tutorial to all of you because this is just a small snippet into something that I've been working on, a brand new course that's launching in December called the Online Teacher Tech Guide. This is going to be a one-stop shop for online teachers to learn tons of tech tutorials for programs like Google Slides and ManyCam, Nearpod, Boom Learning, Zoom, Canva, tons and tons of tutorials for you to gain access to ways that you can make your lessons more interactive and more engaging with your students. I am super excited to show you this small snippet of what's included in the Online Teacher Tech Guide, and I can't wait for you to get in on it. So make sure that you click the link in my bio so that you can join the email list and know exactly when this new course launches. But without further ado, let's jump into today's tech tutorial about how to make a Google Slide hide and seek game. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to Google Slides, and if you don't already have a Google account, I highly suggest creating one, and you're going to choose to create a blank Google Slide. This is where I come in. I automatically get rid of the title and the subtitle, and then I like to change the actual layout of the Google Slide. I do this by going to File and Page Setup, and I change it from Presentation to Standard. That is what I like to use because if I use Canva for any reason, it makes it way simpler. So after that, what I like to do is I like to add a background. You could also choose to add an image, but for me, I like to choose a background to make sure that it doesn't move. I have tons of clip art that I use, but you could also utilize Canva for this by searching in the elements or the photos section. But you'll see here, I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to upload some clip art that I have commercial use for, and that's what I'm going to use as the background to my slide. So once it shows on your slide, you're going to choose Done, and then the next step, once you find that you can't move it as a background image, you're going to start adding images, and these are going to be the images that are going to hide other images behind it. This is how we're going to do hide and seek. So you're going to start by choosing some images, and I like to really create a scene with what I'm doing. So you'll see here I'm going to choose this mountain house, and there will eventually be an item, an object behind it that will be hiding. But for now, I'm just creating a scene with a few different images to have things hiding behind it. So you'll see here, I'm also gonna add some trees, and I'll have an object hiding behind the trees as well. But I really like to do it this way because I think it's important to really kind of tell a story by just having items on the screen, which you totally can do, but it shows that you are really doing more by adding these items and creating a scene and telling a story. So for me, this is an Arctic scene. I'm going to have you'll see here, this is going to be like a fishing hole, and I'm going to have somebody doing some ice fishing. But behind all of these items that I'm adding into my Google Slide, there will be things hidden behind them. And it turns out to be a really fun game, a fun guessing game for your students, and an easy way for you to kind of level up that engagement and interaction. So right now I have 3 items that I have the ability to hide things behind. Here's the 4th for some snowballs. And sometimes what I like to do is I like to add as many objects as there are students in the class. So if I have 6 students in a class, I like to make it as fair as possible by adding 6 things that students can choose to search behind. So what I mean by that is if I have Johnny, Tommy, and Robbie in a class, I would likely have 3 items for them to choose. And I'd say, hey, Johnny, where do you want to look for a dinosaur? And Johnny would say, I want to look behind the mountain house. And then he would be able to look behind the mountain house. I'd say, Robbie, where do you want to look for a dinosaur? And then Robbie would tell me where he wanted to look for a dinosaur. That way I can make sure that everyone really gets a fair chance to play the game. And I even actually in most of my classes do 2 sets of hide and seek so that everybody definitely gets a chance. So I will create this first one and then I will do it again with a different scene. Maybe it'll be like a construction scene or something like that. It depends on what your age range is, but those are all the options. So now I have tons of objects here where I can hide things behind them. So I'm gonna go and figure out what I wanna hide behind them. This is a dinosaur class that I'm making this for, so I'm gonna hide some dinosaurs and some other fun things to kind of kick up that level of rapport with my students. You'll see what I mean whenever I get them on the screen. But for now, I'm going to figure out the first thing that I need to hide is what we're gonna find. And this is a class all about ceratopsian dinosaurs. So I'm going to hide a triceratops, which is what we're actually trying to find. I do my best to make it not so easy to guess where it would be, because a lot of times the students, if they find it quick, it kind of takes away from the fun, but not if you do it the right way, like this, where you hide other things in other places and make them really fun things to hide. So you'll see here, I'm going to explain what I'm doing. I'm kind of scaling down. So this T-Rex, I'm putting it at first in front of the house. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose order. And then once you choose order, you want to send it to the back. And what that does is it takes it and it moves it behind the object that it's on top of. Let's see it again. What we're going to do here. Okay, so this Elasmosaurus, I'm going to scale it down, make sure that it's small enough for me to hide behind this fishing hole. And then I'm going to right click it. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to choose order and then send to back again. And there it is. It's gone behind the fishing hole. So you can't see it anymore, but it is back there. So I'm going to keep adding different objects to hide behind the ones that I already have on the screen. Okay, so this is an example of something fun to build rapport with my students. They love this. Again, this is all clip art that I have purchased for commercial use that I use in everything that I do, digital products that I sell, and even in my slideshows and all of my lessons. But that Yeti obviously is not a dinosaur, but they think it's so funny. Things like that they wouldn't expect to find whenever we're playing hide and seek. It really just levels it up and they think it's hysterical, and it builds that rapport with them and makes them have a really great time. Okay, so this is another example of something very funny. A polar bear who is just so cute. Again, this is one that I used the other day in another class and they seem to love it, so I'm utilizing it again. I'm right-clicking it, choosing order, and sending it to the back to go behind my fisherman. Okay, so then I'm gonna also add this little fish in here and I'm gonna order it and put it to the back. So you can see here that I have all of these things hidden. Now it's time for me to duplicate it, right? So I'm gonna count how many objects I have that students can guess. So I have 6 things that students can guess to look behind. So I'm going to duplicate that original, that very first slide. I'm going to duplicate it 6 times. So you should have a total of 7 slides when you're done. The original slide and then 6 duplicates. So for slide number 2, I'm going to go in and I'm going to delete the sun. Okay? I'm going to do that because we're actually going to link these slides together. So whenever you click on an object, at the top you're going to hit that link button, and you can change it to link it to an actual slide, which I'm going to link it to slide number 2, because when I click on that sun, I want it to take me to slide number 2 where the sun is actually gone. I've gotten rid of it. And then I'm also going to link the Triceratops to slide number 1 so that whenever I click it, I go back to the original slide and they can guess again. You'll see that I'm going to do this over and over again. So this is the very first slide, and if I clicked on the sun, it would take me to slide 2. If I click on the Triceratops, it takes me to slide 1. So let's go back down to slide number 3. I'm going to say if they guess the Eskimo, or if they guess the fisherman, this is what's going to happen. So I'm going to go to the very first slide. I'm going to go to the very first slide, and I'm going to link that actual object to slide number 3. And then I'm going to go back. Now that that's missing, on slide number 3, I'm going to link the polar bear to slide number 1 so that whenever I'm in the presentation mode, if I click the polar bear, it takes me right back to slide number 1. And you're going to do this for each slide. You're just going to choose a different object to get rid of and then to link it back to slide number 1 or to whatever slide that object needs to be linked to. So you can see here that whenever I'm on slide number 4, I'm going to link that Elasmosaurus back to slide number 1. You'll see at the end of this, when I put it into present mode, how this works. Of course, it has to be in present mode for it to work this way. You're unfortunately not able to really have this work unless it's in present mode. But of course, you have the ability to share your screen with Zoom, and that will allow you to do this. So again, all I'm doing is going through, and on the duplicate slides that I make, I'm getting rid of one of the objects that would be guessed, and then I'm linking that object that's behind it. So I'm going to link the Yeti to slide number 1. And then on the first slide, I'm going to link those trees to the last slide. So I'm going to hit the link button. I'm going to choose which slide number I want. And if it is too low, you can move the object so that you can see it better. And then you can hit apply and you can just move those right back. So if you feel like you can't see the options well, you can just move the object or the image up so that you can get a better view of that drop-down menu. Okay, so everything should be set up correctly. And now we're going to test it to see if that is correct. So I'm going to go back up to the very first slide, and then I'm going to go to present. And I'm going to click on the sun to see if it takes me, boom, to the slide where the sun is gone, but it shows me what's behind it. And then if I hit that object, it's going to take me right back to slide number 1. So you can see it seems really seamless whenever you're looking at it in present mode, but the behind the scenes is that it's actually switching back and forth between the slides. So that is how you play hide and seek with Google Slides.